Hello, friends. It's Rob Cosman from Selling from the Beach and awaymasterclass.com. I put together a quick video. I get this question a lot in my Facebook group, which if you're not a member of, join, hit the link below. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give it a thumbs up. That'd be awesome. Bookkeeping basics for Amazon sellers. So a lot of new sellers are like, what do I need to do? I don't know what I need to keep track of. So I want to kind of cover just a high level what I would do if I was starting all over, if I was a brand new seller, and doing things kind of right from the start. You know, it's important that you do get things right from the start because keeping books of records is important for government agencies and paying taxes and all that fun stuff, okay? So remember, you basically need to keep track of everything that you're selling, your revenues, your costs, all the expenses. Everything needs to come together. And if I was going to do it all again, these are the tools and how I would set it up. So if I'm brand new, this is how I do it. Now, yes, you can go use spreadsheets. You can do this, you can do that. But I'm just giving you, this is an ideal. You want to make your life easy. You don't love bookkeeping. You know, there's a reason why people go to school and make a career of doing bookkeeping because it's not necessarily easy. But I think in this video, I can give you enough information to kind of get you going that should be able to do, you know, maybe 75, 80% of the work. And then maybe that other 20%, you know, you're getting your accountant at the end of the year to help you or clean up a few things. But if you're doing, you know, most of the heavy lifting here, using some of these tools and spending a little bit of time up front, setting up things correctly, it'll save you all kinds of headache later on. Okay. So what I would do, I would set up QuickBooks Online. And I would pick the essential version, which is the middle one, because it has multi-currency. So I'm Canadian. I do Canada and U.S. I mean, if you're doing Canada, U.S., Australia, EU, you know, multi-version currency is what you want because you're going to be collecting and selling in all those different currencies. So you're going to use that. You need to record your Amazon revenues because so many people incorrectly think, hey, I got $100 in my bank account from Amazon. That's my revenue. No, it's not. You probably sold $1,000 at first. You paid $300 in Amazon fees, and Amazon held back a bunch of money for reserve because you're a new seller for refunds. And so the correct amount is really the $100 is what you really sold. Plus you need to record all those Amazon fees, and you have a reserve, which is an account receivable. So you need to record all those things, not just $100, right? And that I would use this program called Taxomate, which is really cool software. Basically, it links up with your Amazon Seller Central, pulls in all the reports, and populates it into QuickBooks for you. Once you do a little bit of work up front to set it up, it'll do it all automatically every time, and that can work in all the different marketplaces. It can also work in a few other things, and I'll show you. Then you're going to record all your expenses. So the great thing with QuickBooks Online is you can link up with a lot of different banks and credit cards. So it'll automatically pull in the transactions once you kind of make those connections. So if you've got, you know, Amex, Visa, your different bank accounts, boom, you set them all up. It pulls in the transactions. That's kind of half the battle. Then you just need to basically classify those and what types of expenses they are. And if you paid sales tax on them, that you could recover. And then there's a few miscellaneous adjustments, you know, that I put through, like journal entries. Like, for instance, if you're selling in Canada and you're paying GST, HST on your Amazon fees, you get that invoice once a month. You want to claim those back. I would do those in a manual journal entry, just little one-off things like that that are a little funky and just trying to use QuickBooks to do it. But one thing to note, QuickBooks, like some people get hung up trying to use like the GST, HST filing application in QuickBooks. I don't use that. Because QuickBooks traditionally is like sends out an invoice, but we're not doing that. We're doing journal entries to record your correct amount, right? I mean, it's easy if you just send an invoice for $100 and that was your revenue. But this isn't the case. You're selling all across different provinces or different states. And you have different tax obligations. So, you know, don't try to do that. You go to QuickBooks Online. This is what you're going to get. And I got links below for some affiliate links for QuickBooks and Taxomate. So hopefully if you learned something, took some action from this video, click the link. I'll make a couple dollars off of it, and I'll keep pumping out more videos. Grab the essentials. Again, they always have different promos, usually at the end of the year when everybody gets all riled up, like, oh, let's start getting our accounting organized. They'll have a deal, but check it out. Sometimes there's coupon codes, but this is what it is right now. The essentials is the middle. Now, depending on, they've changed their pricing over the years, and if you have more accounts or more users, it might vary. So just kind of be cognizant of that. So I'd sign up for QuickBooks. Then here's a few things that you're going to do. This is a bit of a checklist to go through. So turn on the multi-currency. You're You're going to go into settings and do that. You're going to say, turn on your multi-currency. Your home currency is whatever you're reporting in. So if you're Canadian, it's Canadian dollars. You're going to set up your sales taxes correctly. Again, that's in the settings. You set up your chart of accounts. This is where you can add in different chart of accounts. You can buy our template. I'll put the link below that you can just upload, and you'll have a bunch of very common, Amazon fees and titles like that you could use. That's an option. And that's where you can make certain accounts. Some people get hung up with, should I put this in office supply? Should I put this in, whatever. Your chart of accounts is what works for you. So if you want a line item that is software, if you want a line item that is virtual assistants, you can put those items in your chart of accounts, just make a new account for it. And, you decide how you want to track it. It's not a big deal. Really, the big buckets are like, are these expenses or are these cost of goods sold? The rest of it, just try to be reasonable and then consistent year over year with how you book it. If your software always goes to the software line, put it there. If your VAs go to a consultant line, put it in there. Okay. Invite your accountant. We do this all the time because then you can invite your accountant to your books, and then the accountant can just pop it online. It's real easy. Take a look, see if there's anything that needs to be cleaned up or you have a question. That's where you get into, like for me, somebody has a question, they'll send me an email. I can pop in the book. I can do a quick screen video. Hey, this is what I see. This is how you do this one. Go do these other 5 this exact same way, and then send them a link to that. And it's just easy to share and get on the same page, right? Link your bank accounts. So you're going to go through, you're going to type in your bank. They have so many of them here. If yours isn't there, you might have to manually create it and upload the statements, but a lot of them should be here and should just automatically link. That's part of the power of QuickBooks Online. Once you've set up that connection with your bank and your credit cards, then it'll automatically pull in the transactions. When you first start, it'll usually only go back so far, depending on how far the bank allows it or the credit card. So in that case, if you need to go back further months, you might have to download the statements usually in a CSV file and then upload them into, just manually. But that's not a big deal because you're going to bulk upload. What I would suggest when you first do that, if you have to do it, take out the CSV file, just upload like 1 or 2 transactions so that you make sure when you map it correctly. So it goes, it's like amounts spent or amounts received, because if you mess it up, you only have to delete like 2 lines as opposed to like 30 or 40. So I always suggest just do a trial first, make sure that, okay, how you mapped it when you upload it was correct. Then you're going to start to go through and you're going to the banking tab once you've got all these transactions in, and you're going to start classifying them. So this is an example here of Adobe that, I always set up a supplier customer. So Adobe is the supplier. So you can set that up. You're going to categorize it. Set up Adobe. I'm going to put this as software subscriptions, and Adobe doesn't charge me any sales tax, so I put 0 rated. And as you can see, this is in US dollars and switched over to Canadian because it's a US credit card, but this is what I would do. And then I would press add, and there it goes. Now I've categorized it. I put it in, I've added it in, I've approved it. I filled out these things. But the real power then is if you want to set up rules. So you start to put in, if you start classifying the same things, like if I go through and I put in Walmart and I say it's got 13% HST on every one of those purchases, then the rest of the transactions that have Walmart will come up. If I do 1 or 2, QuickBooks will try to prompt me and say, hey, do you want to set this up as a rule? So you can go through and manually set them up, or you can do it with, kind of QuickBooks prodding you along. So in this case, I said, hey, every one that comes through on this credit card that says Walmart in it, it's going to be an expense. I'm putting it into Purchases Canada Cost of Goods Sold. The payee is walmart.ca, and I'm saying that it has 13% HST. Now, if you've got things like groceries, maybe you're buying and some stuff has taxes on it and some stuff doesn't, you'll need to be more aware and splitting out those transactions based on what taxes you actually pay. But this is so powerful, and if you're doing the same thing all the time, especially if you're doing like OA and you're buying from the same vendors, it just makes life so much easier. You can kind of set it up to automatically classify. Then you just go along and press add, or you can set the rules up to automatically add it. It's up to you. But that's where you save a ton of time. The next step then is Taxomate. So now if we're capturing most of the expenses and things through the journal entry, through the banks and the credit card statements, Taxomate will take care of the revenues and the Amazon fees. So sign up for the free trial, link below. You're going to go through and connect your marketplaces. So I'm talking about Amazon.ca, Amazon.com. If you've got Shopify, Walmart, you can connect all these different ones, okay? Then you're going to configure out where everything maps. So it'll walk you through and it'll say, okay, here is FBA fees, where do they go? Which account do you want to put it to? And you can use the defaults for most of the time. But what I would suggest is for the sales and the taxes, I would put it to separate accounts depending on the market. So if you're selling on .com, I would have an account that says sales, Amazon.com. And then if it's .ca, I would put it to a sales, Amazon.ca, right? Just so you know which sales are coming from which, because that'll help you when you do tax reporting, okay? So I would go through and I'd do that. Then you're gonna link it up, and usually because of the throttling on Amazon's API and Seller Central, it might only pull in a couple of the past settlements, so you might have to manually upload them. It's really simple. Taxomate has a great support and really good how-to documents. So you're basically going to go into Seller Central, go to a certain file, download the files, and then just upload them to Taxomate. It'll prepare the settlements. Then what I suggest you do is you take one. Once you figure out you've got it mapped and you've got things kind of set up, I think, correctly, I would push one settlement through to QuickBooks, check it, see if it makes sense, see if you have it set up the way you like it, and map correctly. And if it does, then you can push the other ones and set it to automatically go, and you never have to touch it again. If not, you can just go back to Taxomate. You select delete that one, change your mappings, push it through again. Real simple. Okay, so you test the setup. Then you just start matching your bank deposits. So whichever bank you're using, you're getting paid into, Taxomate will say, okay, there's the deposit. And when the cash comes in, it says, oh, we've already matched it. You say yes. Boom. There you go. So now we've taken care of the revenues. The only other few things, just some miscellaneous items that you got to think about. Again, remember, people go to school for bookkeeping. People do this as a profession. So, some things are a little complicated, but we've covered the most of it because you're going to get your revenues with Taxomate. All your expenses should be coming through, with credit cards and bank statements. Now, if you have stuff you're paying cash or out of pocket, those aren't going to be there. Those are the one-off things you might have to do manual journal entries for, but so be it. A few things to think about. Opening balances on the accounts. Like if you first link up a credit card and it has an opening balance, that might pull through. So depending on how you have it set up, be wary of that. Cutting over at year end. So some people will say, you know what, I'm going to start QuickBooks, January 1 or whatever your year end is. Use those opening balances of whatever you have from your taxes that you filed. Use those starting to go forward. Manual journal entries for tax invoices. So in Amazon.ca, you get these tax invoices where you're paying GST and HST. I've got videos on here on how to do them on my YouTube channel. Check them out. I always do a manual entry for those things. Also determine how you want to record your inventory and cost of goods sold. So Taxomate, if you want, Taxomate can help you estimate your cost of goods sold every month. I'd suggest this more for private label sellers that maybe only have like 10 items, and you can go in the back and specify, okay, each one of these and how much their, what their cost is. And then it'll make journal entries to the COGS for you. So what you would do is you would always put everything in your inventory first, every purchase that you're making, put it to inventory, and then Taxomate would just pull that out and put it to the cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold is only when things are actually sold and expensed, right? Inventory is the asset, COGS the expense. So determine what you want to do there. Like for me, I do OA. So basically I just go through and I put everything to COGS all year long, expense it. And then at the end of the year, I say, okay, what is my ending inventory value? And then I adjust it. That's the kind of things you should talk to your accountant about at year end. But I mean, whichever way you decide, whenever you're doing the purchases, just stick to that. So for me, I put everything to COGS, and you saw that with the Walmart example. Boom, that's where it goes. I suggest logging in monthly. Make sure that things are all still connected. Sometimes, like for instance, American Express will kind of throw up and it won't connect for a few days. So you just kind of got to press the refresh or reconnect, maybe log in again. But then it should go back. If you wait like 4 or 5 months and you don't do it, then you might have to go back and manually upload statements again. PayPal, if you can avoid it, I would. As of the timing, this tape, PayPal's a pain in the butt because it pulls in different currencies and doesn't really recognize them correctly. So it's really difficult with QuickBooks. I don't know why these guys really haven't figured it out, but they haven't. If you only have a single currency, like if you're in the U.S. and all you deal with is U.S., then great. Or if you're in Canada and it's just Canadian. But most, people are sending money all over the place at different currencies, so that becomes a pain in the butt. The accounts I said you might have to manually upload, do the small test. And the other thing is utilize the QuickBooks bank reconciliation. So QuickBooks will actually hook up with some banks and pull in the bank statements. And there's a little feature that gives you the bank reconciliation where basically what you're doing is at the end of every month or the end of the bank period, you're saying, okay, what is in QuickBooks? What is on the bank statement? Everything that's on the bank statement and in QuickBooks should match. And if it doesn't, That's because something's missing somewhere. So we need to figure out what is missing or what's incorrectly classified, because everything should match. And the bank reconciliation tool lets you kind of quickly figure that out and find those weird anomalies and fix them before it gets too wild. I think, this, again, supposed to be high level. There's all kinds of resources in QuickBooks and how to do things even better and more detail. But I just want to give you guys a high level of, hey, if I was setting up brand new, this is what I would use. I'd use it as a sole proprietor. I definitely would use it as a corporation. Obviously these things are tools and they cost money, but these things are really important. Keep a track of your books and records and your tax obligations and stuff like that. That's kind of key. And if I'm going to spend a little bit of money, I'm going to spend some money doing that to make sure I'm organized, because then you can free up so much more time to be doing what you're better at, which should be sourcing, finding new products, launching new products, selling stuff, right? So hopefully this helped. Again, links below for a couple affiliate links, some offers. Be sure to join our group, like our YouTube channel, keep updated. Thanks.